Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. This time, in keeping with October spooky month, we're going to take a look at this issue of House of Fear. And in this particular issue, the story is called The Curse of Cottonwood Court. But first, I'm going to have a little shout out to a couple of other YouTube channels that I like. One I've mentioned many times before is Dope Comics. That's Dope_Comics with an X. And he's real big into horror, especially pre-code horror. And then there's Nostalgic Comics 305. And from what I understand is all about old comics, like early Silver Age and Golden Age. And then, remind you, you can get my book, Bizarre Brain Comics Anthology, for just $7.99 on Amazon. That's just enter Bizarre Brain Comics, and it'll come right up. And I want to thank everyone out there who has bought a copy. This is my little book with some humor, some adventures, and some gags. Let's go along with it. Now, this House of Fear. Now, I don't. They don't list any issue numbers. This is just listed as spring of 2017 by 1031 Publishing, and the creators are James and Daxton Powell, and it's illustrated by Adrian Bago Gonzalez. And the House of Fear series is scary comics for young readers, and is basically kids versus monsters, and has been described as Scooby-Doo and also Goosebumps meets Tales from the Crypt. And it's a kind of a fun story, a fun, scary kind of book for kids. There's some nice coloring jobs in here, as you can see. It's for kids, probably preteens, tweens. It might be a little too scary for younger, along in there. But it is the project of James Powell, who is a comic writer and editor. And he describes himself as in childhood, he was an avid reader and writer of his own stories, which he acted out in play. And he became an avid comics reader. Then he grew up, and he rediscovered comics after college, and he found he wanted to become part of the creator community. And as a result, he began to write comic book reviews for websites and interviewing creators. This led to various friendships, and he began editing others' stories and editing novels and novellas for his friends. And he's best known, of course, for his creation of House of Fear, and some of which have been collected into a trade paperback by Dark Horse Comics. And that's five of the stories in that particular volume, from what I understand. So apparently, it had at least more than five stories or issues of House of Fear, and this is the only one I've ever seen that I know of. And it is, like I said, intended for kids. Some nice simplified artwork, at least on the characters. And the main characters are children. And it's not too spooky. Now here, but it does have a a horror host by the name of Boyle. And making little puns and the like. And this story, and it takes place in Fort Collins, Colorado, which is just a little over an hour north of me here. Okay, and this is a family just moving into a house that they just bought. The girl's kind of down. I don't think she likes moving, and the dog kind of distracts her from it for a moment. So he takes off growling and barking at the house across the street, and it's an old, spooky-looking house, which is in contrast to the rest of the neighborhood, which is brand new. And her dad says, the construction company who built the neighborhood could not buy that particular property, so they just built up around it. And she thinks it reflects on how spooky it is, and it even scares the dog, and he runs off when she goes to the gate, and she enters the yard. Sees this old, tall, spooky-looking house. Spooky tree, and she leans up against it, sits down, and we see this figure, shadowed on her with an axe. Then suddenly, she's up and at him because here's this spooky-looking figure. In fact, he looks like a spook with an axe in hand, and he starts wailing away at that tree. And she tries to stop him. No! And then suddenly she's awake and alert. And what was that a dream? What was going on? And then she sees this other kid. Her name is Emily, and this other kid's name is Wyatt. Here's when they first meet, and he says, "Oh, you need to stay away from that house. It's cursed. It's a haunted house." And then he tells the story behind that haunted house, how this man about a century before built this house himself, and but he always complained about it being cold, so he chopped down all these trees all around the house for firewood to keep everything warm, all except this last big tree. Then one night he's complaining about the cold, and I'm going to have to cut down that tree tomorrow for firewood. And then the tree reaches in through the window and snatches him, and then we see while he's whacking at it with the axe, and then the tree eats him. Gulp, 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 gulp. That's kind of spooky. It's scary, really. Yeah. And so you can see the story kind of scares her, but Dad says it's all a bunch of hokum. And they go into the house and they do some research. And in the research they see some pictures and some of the history of the house, how the actual story was that he was trying to cut the tree, and part of the tree fell on him and killed him, and similar stuff like that. So they rush out, and as they're rushing out, because they just got the house recently, and they're getting some new trees in the yard, planted in the yard. And these workmen are doing that. So they run over to the house and say, "Oh," they looking at the tree because they think the tree is evil, right? They see some. "Oh no, run! We've been seen." Because the door is creaking open. They run around the corner and say, "Why are we going here? We should have gone the other way." And they're standing on this wooden platform, and crunch! It's old and rickety, and they fall through into the basement of the house. And there are all these pictures of the original guy, and each picture progressively fewer trees, and it's like pictures of him with axe in hand. Oh yeah. Then they go up there and they see the ghost has built a fire in the fireplace, in the stove, because it's cold, and it is cold in the house, as you can see from their puffs of breath. And they said, "I want to get that axe. Got to get that axe away from him." And you distract him, and then he spots him, and he chases him through. She grabs the axe, chases him through the house. Oh, he slams the door. They can't get out. So they run upstairs. Oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And they're trapped in the door, trapped in the old bedroom, and then crash! The tree reaches in and grabs him again. And then we've got to. So it's a battle between the ghost and the tree. So we've got to strengthen the tree. They rush across the yard, across the street to their house, grab the trees and the shovels, and they start planting the trees quickly in that yard around the tree. And he's attacking the tree with the axe, and they're feverishly planting the trees. And so what? Ah! The trees are strengthened, and he is kablooey. Ends the ghost, and the trees are there, and all is safe. Well, and then here is Boyle at the end to make goofy puns. And then in the last 2 pages, it actually tells you how to produce your own comic story. And so, of course, it's for kids. It's kind of a scary story for kids, but it's for kids. So, thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe. You know, kids who might be interested in who's interested in spooky stories, but maybe haven't read comics too much. Share this with them. They might appreciate seeing that spooky stuff in comics for kids. And if you enjoyed it, or even if you didn't enjoy it, let me know in the comments below. Have you heard of this title before? Have you read any others? Have you gotten any for your kids? Let me know. And remember, comics are art.